Imagine this, a 25-year-old now banks her hair follicle stem cells. And maybe in 10, 20, 30 years, she now has these young cells to use for anything that she would like, whether it be for a disease process or something aesthetic.
Welcome to Beyond Beauty, where confidence meets care. Join us as we uncover the art, science, and soul behind today's most refined cosmetic treatments.
We've all wondered what it would be like if our biological clock could be paused. They say you'll never be as young as you are today. But what if that wasn't true? What if you could actually save today's youthfulness, freeze it in time, and use it to rejuvenate your skin, your hair, even your future? Think about it. We insure our homes, our cars, even our phones. But what if you could insure your own youth? Literally banking your healthiest cells now, so they're waiting for you when you need them most. It might sound like science fiction, but it's not. This is real. It's happening now, and today we're exploring how. I'm joined by Dr. Braun, a leader in regenerative aesthetics, to talk about how cell banking and a breakthrough treatment called Secretome are transforming the future of beauty and recovery. Let's start simple, Dr. Braun. What is cell banking? For someone who's not heard of this before, could you please just give us a little explanation about that?
Cell banking is the collection and preservation of your healthiest cells. In this particular case, I want to discuss the stem cells that are located in your hair follicles. We can actually take stem cells from your hair follicles, collect them, and cryopreserve them at minus 190 degrees centigrade for future use. This is a biobank, which you can use in the future for various indications. Imagine this, a 25-year-old now banks her hair follicle stem cells. And maybe in 10, 20, 30 years, she now has these young cells to use for anything that she would like, whether it be for a disease process or something aesthetic.
Now this is where things get really exciting. Secretome. It sounds really futuristic and even mysterious. Can you tell us a little bit about secretomes?
The secretome is the solution that is derived from your own stem cells, the ones that we banked. These stem cells are now grown in a dish and they produce a secretome, which consists of exosomes, growth factors, and various healing molecules, which we can use for you. For example, if a client had a microneedling treatment, we can then apply her own secretome, which will speed up recovery and enhance the results. It's been shown that the secretome is many, many times more powerful than PRP or platelet-derived plasma.
Okay, let's talk about what that looks like for a client. Could you please explain the procedure from start to finish?
So when we see the client, we then need to harvest some hair follicles. We actually pluck about 50 hairs from the back of the head in order to get the stem cells. It doesn't really hurt. And these cells are put in a growth media and shipped to Toronto. Once they are there, they are grown in a dish, so the cells are expanded. That's what we call cellular expansion. These cells are then placed on ice for future use. They can be literally stored for decades, and some of them are also used to produce your secretome. That takes about 8 weeks, this process. Then the secretome is sent back to us. We actually get 12 vials, which we can use for at least 6 sessions in order to enhance hair growth or skin rejuvenation during our various procedures.
Dr. Braun, you mentioned the sooner the better. At what age should we be considering collecting these hair follicles?
The younger you are, the better, of course, because our cells do deteriorate with age. However, research has shown that up to age 65, there is no significant decline in the number of stem cells in the hair follicles. However, after age 65, they do decline somewhat. However, stem cells have been looked at the hair follicles of 80-year-olds, and they are still present, but albeit less of them. And so I would specifically try to do this prior to age 65, if it were me, for the best kind of stem cells that you could get in order to freeze for future use.
Once these cells are collected, who owns them?
The facility is actually located in Toronto General Hospital, and Acorn collects these cells and you own them. They do not sell anything to anyone else. They're your cells, and you pay a yearly fee in order to have them cryopreserved. The fee is about $190 per year, so it's quite reasonable, and they will continue to freeze them for as long as you would like.
This really sounds like the wave of the future.
Yes, it really is, and it's particularly attractive for older people like me who never had the opportunity to freeze their placenta or umbilical cord, like is being done very commonly now by mothers having babies, because they have their day zero stem cells available to them for the rest of their life.
Does the quality of the stem cell matter?
The quality is quite important for stem cells, and that's what the unique thing about the hair follicle is, that the stem cells don't deteriorate appreciably up to age 65 in number. However, the quality of the stem cell might, of course, because a 65-year-old cell is not the same as a 3-year-old cell. And so the sooner you bank your cells, the better, because you have a version of yourself for future use.
Can you just comment on the quality of the stem cells?
The sooner you harvest your own stem cells, the better. The younger the stem cell, the better the quality. Of course, nowadays, we have mothers freezing the placenta and umbilical cord of their newborn. Those stem cells are day zero, and of course, are the healthiest and the best. However, I didn't have that opportunity, so I now can take my stem cells from my hair follicles, which are readily available, and cryopreserve them. So I have the youngest version of myself possible saved for future use for different applications. And so the field of regenerative medicine will continue to expand, so why not preserve the cells that I have today for future use? That's my feeling on the subject.
Could you give us an example?
Well, think of a client in their 40s who may have banked their cells 10 years ago. They now have more youthful cells which they can use for future emerging therapies that perhaps have not even been invented yet. They'll be able to take advantage of these cells in order to speed recovery, enhance recovery, perhaps cure a disease or condition. So it's not just good skin care, it's future care by banking your stem cells today.
Okay, before we wrap up, let's look to the future. Regenerative medicine feels like it's just the beginning. What do you see in the next 5 to 10 years?
We're in the early frontiers of regenerative medicine right now. It is absolutely amazing that we can now harvest your stem cells and bank them for future use. The earlier you start, the better, because our cells do deteriorate with age. The ideal is prior to age 65. Also, I'd like to mention when women are pregnant, they produce fantastic stem cells in their hair follicles. So this is something that every pregnant woman should consider doing during pregnancy, because she'll have a much better quantity of stem cells in her hair follicles for future use. So imagine now that you're in your 30s or 40s and you've banked your cells, and something happens to you in the future where you might need these cells because medicine continues to make advances, and you now have a younger version of yourself which can be grown and ultimately used for whatever ails you. At the present time, we're basically using these for aesthetics, but I can see the indications will continue to expand. There's early work done, for example, on rats, showing that the exosomes or secretome work just as well for osteoarthritis in their joints as do the actual stem cells. So we might just need these little messengers from our stem cells in order to alleviate all kinds of degenerative conditions in the future. So the future is bright, and the younger your stem cells, the better. I wish, for example, I had my placenta, banked when I was born, but that didn't exist 66 years ago. So the best I can do is have my hair follicles, put on ice, which I've done, and now I'm having them grown, and now I will use them for various aesthetic purposes.
Thank you, Dr. Braun, for joining us today and sharing your insights on this amazing treatment.
Well, thank you, Jean, and I hope that I've shed some light on the future of regenerative medicine as it pertains to aesthetics as well as medicine in general.
Thank you for joining us today. and see you next time in the next episode of Beyond Beauty.